Imagine you have to run to the other side of the playground. You could just jog slowly, and that's one way to run. Or you could run super fast and feel your heart beating like a drum. That's workout intensity. It's basically how hard you're working. For your muscles to grow, you actually have to work hard, not just move the weights. Yo, what is up, guys? I'm Cyrus. I'm a natural lifter. I've been lifting for 15 years, and I've been researching this stuff on my personal time for about 10 years now as well, too. Now, I take all the knowledge, all my experience, and I teach skinny, natty guys under 30 how to build drug-free muscle with just 2 workouts per week. I've been training 2 workouts per week for about 7 or 8 years now, and I love it. It's got me super strong, and it's got me well built as well too. So in this video, we're kind of talking about intensity, and there's just a few kind of bullet points about basically what I want to talk about here. Number one is that intensity is basically kind of like I mentioned in the introduction, is like how much effort you're actually putting in. So like, yes, you could show up to the gym. Yes, you could get a pump in, and like, yes, you could just go through the movements. But what's much more important as a natural lifter is actually making sure that your intensity is high enough to the point that you're actually challenging your muscles. Because like, yes, you could do 10, 15 reps on a set, but if those 10 to 15 reps were super easy for you, then you're not really properly trained and you're not really properly challenging your muscles. You want to train hard enough and have the intensity high enough to the point that you're actually challenging your muscles to grow. So typically, the last couple reps of your set are typically the most important. Like, for example, if you're going to do 12 reps, typically like those 1 through 8, 1 through 9 are probably going to be a little bit easier. You know, that's how that typically goes. Then the last 3 or 4 reps are typically the hardest. And that's where the bulk of your muscles are going to get challenged. So those last couple of reps is where those last couple of reps are going to be the most effective for muscle building and muscle growth, as well as breaking the muscles down. So those last couple of reps are the most important. And that's where you want to focus a lot of your intensity and focus a lot of your attention on during your sets. So for those of you who haven't heard before, this is basically what's called training to failure. And as a natural lifter, that's what I teach in my philosophy. Is I teach guys to train to as close to failure as they can, pretty much every single set, without pushing it so hard to the point that you're at risk of getting hurt. So what does this look like? If you're going to do a set on the bench press, and you're trying to go to your goal is to get to 12 reps, you should pick a weight for you that is easy for those first 1 to 8, and then those last 4 to 12, or not 4 to 12, but 8 to 12 reps are a little bit harder, and it's challenging enough to the point that you really got to push to get those last few reps in. If you can get that close to failure where you feel like you might drop the weight on your chest, then that's pretty good. That's usually a sign that you're challenging your muscles enough to grow, if you're in the example, doing a bench press. But the issue is that you have to kind of find a balance, because if you don't have a spotter, then you're at risk of dropping that barbell on your neck and dying. So obviously you want to find a point where it's challenging enough to the point where it's not easy, you're actually challenging yourself for those last few reps, they're hard to push up, but you don't want to get to the point where you might drop the weight and die. That's the kind of thing we want to avoid, obviously. So if you're new to natural bodybuilding, training this way, training with this type of intensity and training to failure can be kind of hard, especially if you're not used to it and you're not experienced enough with how close you can get to failure and how to push yourself to failure. What I suggest to my clients, and as well as just to new beginners who are in the gym, is don't train to failure on exercises that you're not comfortable with. So if you don't have a spotter for your bench press, it doesn't make sense to go to absolute failure, because if you drop the weight on your chest, or God forbid you drop it on your neck and you start choking yourself out, if you don't have a spotter there, there's no one's going to save you, especially if you're at home by yourself in your garage trying to bench press a PR, there's no one there to save you. So if you're doing, machines, for example, if you're doing cable work, you can typically go to failure because it's easy to drop the weight. For example, if you're doing a machine row, for your back, you can absolutely go to failure on every single set, because if it gets too heavier, then you kind of just drop the weight and the machine will save you. Same goes for, a machine push press. If you're pushing on a machine rather than doing rows, it's the same thing. You can push as hard as you can. If it gets too heavy on the last rep, then you can just simply drop it. So if you're new to this, if you're new to bodybuilding, and if you're a skinny guy and you're trying to build, muscle, and you're trying to do this drug free, I recommend testing out your intensity on machines rather than free weights, because you're at less of a risk of getting hurt. So I would try that. And then let's see, like another tip is that during your workouts, like during your sets, of course, keep track of them. Of course, make sure you're implementing progressive overload, but stop focusing so much on like the amount of reps that you're doing. Like if your goal is to hit 10 reps for your set and you easily hit 10 during that set, don't just drop the weights and call it good. If you got more like gas in the tank, if you got a little bit more room and you hit your 10 already, then put in like another 3 or 4, another 5 reps if you can. Like, yes, it's important to hit your goals for your sets and reps, of course, but if they're too easy and you're in the middle of your set, you don't want to just dump the weights. Like, keep going, push it. Like, this is how you actually challenge your muscles to grow. This is how you actually get stronger. And by getting stronger, you're challenging you're telling your muscles, you're giving them the stimulus that they need in order to be like, oh, my body needs to get stronger. I'm a muscle. I need to get stronger. So I need to tell my muscles to grow. That's what you want to do rather than just dumping the weights if they're too easy. Basically, guys, like a hard, intense workout that's like focused on intensity, that's close to pushing to failure is way better than just a super long workout where you just go into the gym with the idea of getting a pump in. Like, yes, it's nice sometimes to go and get a pump in, but if you really want to grow, if you really want to see like drug-free muscle as a natural lifter, then you got to focus on intensity and you got to get close to failure, because every single time you get close to failure as a natural lifter, you are sending signals to your muscles that they need to grow. So pretty much the more often that you can do that during your sets, during your reps, during your workouts, then the higher chances that you're going to have higher chances of your body actually growing as a natural lifter, because you can't just go in and get a pump and have it be easy. You have to actually challenge your muscles in order for them to grow. So I'm kind of going off on a tangent. I want to stay locked into the idea for this video. That's basically it, guys. If you guys want to learn how you can like dial in your intensity and maximize your time in the gym, you can hit me up on Instagram. I'll drop my link in the description. Just DM me the word natty and ask me any question you may have, and I'll answer it totally for free. Just hit me up. However, if you are looking for something cool, we have a school community where I literally help skinny natty guys under 30 build drug-free muscle with just 2 workouts per week. I've been training this way for 7 or 8 years now. I love it. This is what I teach my clients to do. So if that sounds like you can check that out. Link in the description as well too. So peace out, you guys. That's it for this video. I will see you on the next one. Hopefully you guys learned something. See you later.